We work at the Biblical Seminary of Colombia. It's an interdenominational evangelical seminary where we train pastors and church planters and missionaries and evangelists and future school teachers who will teach religion, more about the Christian scriptures, about the history of the church, about theology and ethics, and how to apply all that to the life of faith. One of the great joys that I have working at the Biblical Seminary of Colombia is running a project that's called Faith and Displacement. Most people who don't live in Colombia aren't aware that one of the world's largest humanitarian crises in the 21st century is transpiring in this nation, as 7.4 million Colombians have been the victims of forced displacement due to the civil conflict that's been raging across generations in this country. It's a conflict that's between paramilitary groups and guerrilla groups, fed by cartels and indeed by conflict with the official national armed forces. And as a result, 15% of this country's population has been driven from their homes by violence. The consequences of forced displacement are catastrophic. If you are displaced from a rural area to a city, which is the norm, you have an 86% extreme poverty rate. There is family dismemberment, there is massive psychological trauma, there is sexual violence, families are torn apart, relationships, and of course people's perceptions of God are shattered. And yet these people are in our churches. They're among our students. It's the defining issue for the next 2 generations of Colombia. And so the Biblical Seminary of Colombia decided that they wanted to learn how to confront the crisis of forced internal displacement and how to help churches confront that crisis. And so what we did is we assembled a team of 25 scholars from 4 different continents: sociologists, psychologists, economists, political scientists, and of course, theologians, to study the experience of displacement. What are the consequences of it? What does it look like to recover thereafter? And on that basis, we created materials designed to help pastors and Christian professionals put their skills to work as part of the mission of the church, a holistic mission on behalf of victims of forced displacement in Colombia, this most vulnerable demographic of the nation. We created these materials, 19 curricula in all, ranging from subjects like micro-enterprise to recovery from psychological trauma to using soccer as a mechanism of teaching nonviolent conflict resolution. We've implemented them in pilot communities all around the country, and now our intention is to scale up this implementation, this intervention, and launch it in 60 communities all around the nation of Colombia in order to help the church to be the church more effectively with the most vulnerable members of this society, to help Christian professionals to know how they, as a business person or a lawyer or a school teacher or a taxi driver, can put their skills to work helping victims of the violent conflict recover spiritual, economic, emotional, and social wholeness.
Now this is where stronger philanthropy comes in. We'd like to invite you to be part of helping us to scale up the impact of the Faith and Displacement Project in communities all around Colombia. On the basis of the research that we've already done and our experience piloting the Faith and Displacement curricula in the communities that we've been working with these past 3 years, we are prepared to revise these curricula to optimize their impact. We are also innovating on a popular modality of continuing adult education, which is called a diploma course. And by innovating on this diploma course, which we would launch in 6 different urban hubs around the country over the course of 7 months each, we would be training teams from 60 different church communities to launch the Faith and Displacement Project among the IDPs that are in their own neighborhoods and near their own cities. We want to do this to ensure that all the hard work that's gone into creating this material can have an optimal impact, ensuring that Christian communities all around the nation can flourish in their own integral mission, and in order to ensure that IDPs can experience God's desires for them to live life in abundance. We'd be grateful of stronger philanthropy, you being partners with this work. We look forward to the chance to answer any questions that you would have about the project.